Hello, this is a quick tutorial on how to use the basics of Adobe Bridge. To start with, down in the left hand corner of your screen, in the search bar type in Adobe Bridge. And under Best Match, you'll see Adobe Bridge. Simply left click that and that will open up the Adobe Bridge program and navigate through your files on your computer to find where you've saved them. For me, I've already navigated through, so I'm quickly going to slide through to the images that I'd like to edit. Now some of you may have a lot of images or not a lot at all. I have quite a few and I've already gone through and picked the one that I'd like to edit. Now down on the bottom content here, I'm going to right click the image and click Open in Camera Raw. You'll notice there's Open with, and then Open in Camera Raw. The third option down is the one that you need to click. Clicking that will open Camera Raw Editor, which is a really basic program, and it may seem a bit daunting to start with, but it's actually really simple to use. At the top of the screen you'll see a few icons, and the only one we really need to use at the moment is the crop tool. Some of you may have features that you want to remove, or you'd like to crop your image so that it applies to the rule of thirds. To do that, you simply select the whole image, drag around to the bottom corner, then click and drag. Holding Shift ensures that it still stays in proportion. Now, I'm just going to resize it there. And once you're happy, simply double click. And then we're all done. Now, if you're not happy with your crop, simply click the crop tool again and it'll open back up to your original image size, and you can alter, reduce, get bigger, smaller, reduce, whatever you need. But I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm going to double click and we're done. Now you notice we've got some blemishes on the screen, some red blemishes and blue blemishes. Those are indicated over here by the curves menu. I've already got mine turned on. You might find your image originally looks like this, but what I'd like you to do is simply click these little arrows here to turn on these blemishes, and what they are is 100% white and 100% black. And it's important to keep these in mind when you're editing any image, because they will reduce the final print quality, and we want to work towards removing these from the image. To start with, the first way we can go about that is changing our white balance. Now you'll see just underneath the basics menu here we have white balance, temperature and tint. Now you can click the white balance drop down and hit auto, and it will auto correct the white balance in the image for you, or you can alter the temperature and tints. I think my image is very cool, which is blue. It's got a lot of blue in it, so what I want to do is actually bring some warmth back into the image, but I don't want to overdo it and oversaturate it, so I'm just going to drag it up a little bit. And there, I brought some warmth into the image, but at the same time I've also increased the amount of white. Also there's a bit of green within my image here, so I can select the tints slider and simply drag that across and bring some green from the background into the image. Now below that you'll see exposure, recovery, fill, blacks, brightness and contrast. Exposure increases the light or decreases it depending which way you move your slider. For me, I'm going to drag it back a little bit here so it's not so overexposed, and I've reduced some of the white that's in my image. Next, I'm going to increase the recovery. Recovery attempts to bring it depends. In a simpler term, it brings more pixels back into your original image. However, it also causes your highlights to become a little bit muddied. So you'll notice at the top of my screen here, I had a highlight that was 100% white. It's now been reduced, but I've also reduced some of the image quality of my actual subject, which is fine because we can change that. Next you have the fill, which brings white back into the image, and it also reduces your blacks. So I'm going to add a little bit of fill light here, and that has completely removed the 100% blacks from my subject, except for a little bit along the cheek line here. So what I will do is reduce the total number of black in my image to about 4. There's still some 100% black in there, so I'm going to reduce it maybe to 2. There we go. I've almost completely removed all the blue speckles in my image. Now, the next slider along is brightness. Brightness makes the overall subject lighter or darker. And depending on how exposed your image is, you may want to make it lighter or darker. For me, I just want to bring a little bit more light into my image, but not too much, just a bit. And then the next slider below that is contrast. And contrast affects the highlights and shades within your image. So it either makes it light or quite dark. I want mine around here. There you are. Now the next one along is clarity. And what clarity does is it reduces the sharpness within your image and blurs it slightly, like applying a little bit of a blur or a Gaussian blur filter effect. So what I want to do is increase the sharpness of my subject. So I'm going to drag that up a little bit. But it's also increased some of the black within my image, which is fine. But overall, it makes the image look a little bit sharper and stand out more. Vibrance adds color and saturation. So if you overdo it, it looks quite overcooked. Underdo it, you turn it to black and white. But mainly, I just want to make my subject a little bit more vibrant. And also the grass in the background stand out and a little bit more punchy. Finally, saturation, once again, increases the overall color in your image, or can take all the color out. I'm going to leave that on 0 since I've already achieved what I want to do with vibrance. And next, I'm going to go to detail. Detail adds sharpening to the overall image, and you'll see if you've taken an image which is out of focus or a little bit blurry, by increasing your sharpness you can actually make it stand out a little bit more. This will also add noise to your image, so you can use the noise reduction to counter that. Also, if you've got a higher ISO and a lot of noise in your image, noise reduction can help by reducing the overall noise in the image. But I was pretty happy with the original photo, so I'm going to put that back to 0. Next, we have effects. And effects adds vignetting to the image, which darkens or lightens the border of your photo, which mimics a lens effects, or a filter effect that you could put on top of your lens cap. For me, I just want to add a little bit of vignetting so it brings the subject a little bit more forward. So I'm going to put just 20% on that, and I'm happy with that. There we go. That's a very quick way on how to edit your image in Bridge. Once you've finished editing your image, down in the left hand bottom of your screen you'll see Save Image. Click the Save Image and a little pop-up window will open. There will be 3 windows, but mainly all you need to focus on is selecting the folder, which selects the destination where your file will be saved, file naming, which lets you name the image, and I'm going to call mine Widge1 because that's the name of my cat, and file extension lets you save the format the file saves in. Default is usually JPEG, but for this exercise and for any exercise you should save as PSD, which is Photoshop format. Alternatively, you can save your images as a TIFF. And the reason we do that is to reduce as much image loss as quality possible, since JPEG reduces the overall image quality. Saving it as a PSD keeps it at 100% image quality, and opening and saving the image won't reduce the original image. Once that's all done, hit save and you're all done.